Man on the Moon is a 1999 film directed by Milos Forman, starring Jim Carrey, Danny DeVito, and Courtney Love, and tells the story of Andy Kaufman, a real-life comedian who was considered one of the most innovative and eccentric performers of his time. KINO LORBER presents this film for the first time on Blu-ray with a brand new 2K restoration approved and color graded by cinematographer Anestas Mikos. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today we're going to talk about Man on the Moon, which is the latest KINO LORBER Blu-ray release. The first time that this movie has ever been on Blu-ray, and this is also a first-time watch for me. I'm not really sure how I missed this one. I was such a Jim Carrey fan growing up. I saw like every single one of his movies, but for some reason in his filmography, this is the one that I missed. But I always remember like being a big professional wrestling fan and just seeing this movie being promoted on like Raw and stuff because Jerry Lawler was in it. So I've always known of it. I've always known it was a big Jim Carrey role and performance, like one of his best, one of his most well-regarded roles. But yeah, I've never seen the movie. And if this is your first time discovering me on this channel, hit the subscribe button. Also like this video and comment down below, guys, your own thoughts on this movie and whether or not you're going to purchase this KINO LORBER release based on my recommendation. So yeah, just my thoughts on the movie, guys. This is a great movie. This is really honestly a great movie. It is, like I said in the opening, directed by Milos Forman, who also did Amadeus, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So that guy has an incredible filmography, so it's no surprise that he made such a great film like this. It is a pretty straightforward like biopic movie, but the character, you know, it's a real life person, but I would say the character of Andy Kaufman, as played by Jim Carrey, is just eccentric and weird and off-putting enough just in nature for this to not feel like your traditional biopic, even though it is told in a very linear, traditional way. It feels something, it feels like it's something different. Jim Carrey just gives a great performance. I loved him in this movie. Maybe his best behind the Truman Show. To be honest, I love his comedic performances on like Ace Ventura, Liar Liar is one of my favorite comedies of all time. What a year for Jim Carrey physical media releases. We got Liar Liar, Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind's getting ready to get a 4K release by KINO LORBER. So just an incredible year for Jim Carrey films. So yeah, I would say as far as dramatic performances, I haven't seen Eternal Sunshine in a very long time. I honestly don't remember liking that film that much, but I watched it when I was a senior in high school, so I'm going to rewatch it when the 4K comes out. But as of right now, today, this is probably his second best dramatic performance to me. He's amazing in this film. From the second this movie opens up, you just feel like you're in for something different. You know, it kind of starts with him coming out, and you know, it's like he's introducing the movie. It kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit, and he basically says there's no movie, and then the credits start rolling. And you know, it's a whole thing. I love the opening of this movie. I love the aesthetic of this movie. The direction by Milos Forman is like top tier. This movie is just fantastic. Looks great visually. It's interesting in the way that it's shot. I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. It honestly blew me away. It's just one of the better biopics that I feel like I've seen in quite some time. Great supporting cast. You got Danny DeVito, you got Paul Giamatti in this movie. Courtney Love's in this film, who's not really in it that much, but I thought she actually added a lot as far as like just an emotionally impactful performance. She was really good in the movie. I was honestly surprised. I hadn't seen Courtney Love in much. I know she was in like The People versus Harry Flint, but I thought she was great in this movie, and I forgot she was in it. Like, she shows up, and I'm like, is that Courtney Love in this movie? And again, you got Jerry Lawler in this film. I talked about my connection with wrestling in this movie. That was a very cool part, I will say, just because I used to be a huge pro wrestling fan. So I love that they brought that bit into this movie because it was such a big part, by all accounts, of Andy Kaufman's career. It was the thing that kind of sunk him, but also I think made a lot of people really remember him as well. It was just a big part of his legacy, I think. But yeah, Jerry Lawler's great in this movie. I love how this movie uses the real life actors. You know, this movie was shot in the late 90s, and it's using the real life actors from the situations that they were in with Andy Kaufman from back in the late 70s, early 80s. So they're 20 years older, but they're using the same actors. So it's kind of weird, but in a way it works. And I like that they did that. Because it wasn't like you're not taken out of it by them using like different actors for, you're not trying to figure out like who's who, like you know who's who. You see Christopher Lloyd sitting there on the set of Taxi, and I love how they don't really bring a lot of attention to it. It's like, that's Christopher Lloyd, but they just kind of bring him on as like backdrop set pieces for, you know, what Andy Kaufman's doing, because they were there. And it's really cool. I love the way that they did it, even though it's like they don't really try to de-age them or anything. Like, they look noticeably older than they would have been in the 70s and 80s, but I thought it worked. I thought it worked quite well. And even David Letterman, I listened to a little bit, you know, the special features and stuff they go into. David Letterman, how he was like, you want me to be in the movie, like do the same interview with Andy Kaufman, but Jim Carrey's Andy Kaufman, but you want to use me, like 20 years older. He's like, I'm not using black in my hair. I'm not looking like I'm any younger. I'm not going to change my set to what it was back then. And they're like, okay, it doesn't matter. We'll do the new interview. So I like that they didn't put, they didn't care about that. It was just about using the same actors. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a really cool way to integrate those older actors into the film, because, you know, he was on Taxi for, I think, like, I looked it up, like he was in every single episode, which was really cool. So yeah, and on David Letterman, Saturday Night Live, Lorne Michaels was there in the movie. But Lorne Michaels, I feel like, has looked the same age for like 50 years. So Christopher Lloyd too, really, if you want to think about it. Back to the Future, he's got white hair and he's like 40 years old in that movie. And he still kind of looks similar all the way through the early 2000s. But yeah, I really liked this movie. It was raw and it was real, and it got really emotional towards the end. It was a little bit goofier, just the way that he acted throughout the movie. But Jim Carrey was great. He was great. And, you know, all the stories, people talking about him method acting and just getting into that character, like he was Andy Kaufman. He would not answer to anything else. Yeah, I can totally see it. I feel like that's the kind of mindset you have to get in to pull off this kind of performance in this movie. And he absolutely nails it. So as for a movie, guys, it's not perfect. It's not like all time great to me, but it's pretty freaking great. And I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's damn near close to greatness and perfection for me. So I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. So let's get into the picture quality of this. KINO Lorber did a fantastic job. This is a 2K restoration, and it is the first time it's on Blu-ray. So a lot of people were clamoring for this to come out for the longest time. I thought it looked fantastic. Again, not like 4K quality, but I thought the detail was really great. The facial detail, there's some close-ups with the excellent cinematography. The movie has great cinematography, great visuals. But yeah, there's some facial close-ups and the detail looks great. There's some, you know, just really aesthetically pleasing, like colorful backgrounds and scenery in this movie. And it all just looked great. It all popped with this 2K transfer. So I thought it looked fantastic. Honestly, for my money, you can't really get any better as far as a Blu-ray HD transfer. I thought KINO Lorber did a fantastic job. And the audio is a DTS HD master audio. So again, I'm just listening to it on a soundbar, so no fancy audio presentation for me, but I thought everything sounded good to me as far as just like the overall for the audio. Great soundtrack to this one. That Man on the Moon song, I love that. I've always loved that song. And just getting into that for a second, I thought it was really cool because I looked it up, and that song came out in 1992 and it was written about Andy Kaufman. So the fact that they used that for this movie, I thought was pretty awesome, because I didn't know that. I knew that that song was used for this movie, but I didn't know that that song was written about Andy Kaufman. So it was basically about how people thought he faked his death and when he got cancer and stuff, and then comparing that to people thinking that the moon landing was fake. So yeah, it's a great song. So yeah, the REM music video is included in the special features in this as well. And getting into the special features, all the stuff on here is pretty much from previous like DVD releases, but you do get an audio commentary with screenwriter Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and moderated by film historian Howard S. Berger. So I listened to a little bit of this one, probably about 30 minutes. It's an excellent audio commentary from what I listened to. So yeah, that's brand new to this KINO Lorber release. And all the other special features, like the making of Man on the Moon, you got the screenwriter Scott Alexander and Larry in a conversation with director Milos Forman, and the music videos, deleted scenes, theatrical trailers, all that stuff's been in previous releases, so that's not new, but that commentary is really new. And some interesting stuff was discussed in that commentary, because In this movie, they portray Andy Kaufman as really hating like sitcoms, and he really did not want to be on Taxi. And they got a little bit of pushback for that when the movie came out, because they're like, Andy didn't really hate Taxi as much as you all made it out to be in the movie. And they're like, I don't know, we heard a lot of stories about him hating being on Taxi, so they put it in the movie. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, overall, guys, look. It's a solid release. I think it's $16.79 right now on Amazon. I'm gonna link down below for purchase for this release. I think it's worth it, especially if you've never seen this movie before, and also if you're a fan of this movie. The first time on Blu-ray, I think the presentation's fantastic. I think you'll really enjoy it. So yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the transfer, the presentation, the special features. Again, they don't like do a lot of extra special features or anything. But yeah, the extra audio commentary is nice. That is essentially 2 hours worth of new, notes and commentary on the film itself. So overall, guys, as a release, we'll go into the packaging a little bit. Really cool. It's, the basic poster right there. I'll kind of zoom in on the back and show you. KINO LORBER does a great job with their packaging. I love that this had a slipcover, because not all the KINO LORBER movies have slipcovers always. But then you open it up, you never get discard with KINO LORBER, which is always disappointing. But overall, guys, at the end of the day, it's $16.79. I bought this for $19.99. I would say it's absolutely worth $16.79. So money well spent. I'm giving this release a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a great release. It's a great transfer, and it's a great movie. Absolutely recommend that you pick this one up. And with that, guys, we are done with the review of Man on the Moon, the latest release from KINO LORBER. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like, comment down below your thoughts on this movie, whether or not you're going to pick it up. Subscribe to my channel, turn on those bell notifications, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.